Welcome to Sensible Health Solutions, the show where we simplify health and wellness. Join your hosts, Hallie Fields and Dr. Scott Luper, as they share practical tips and expert insight to help you navigate common ailments, nutrition, and overall well-being. Tune in for straightforward advice that empowers you to live a healthier life.
Welcome back to Health Talk. My name is Hallie Fields, and I'm your host today as we talk about health, how to get it, and how to keep it. With me today is Dr. Scott Luper. Dr. Luper is a naturopathic doctor. Good afternoon, and today we are talking about how to get healthy. Hi, Dr. Luper. How are you?
Oh, Hallie, I'm doing good.
Good. Glad to hear. Our last conversation was very insightful on anemia. And from here, I was curious. We do see a lot of this come through the clinic, and I wanted to talk more about thyroid with you.
Yeah, it's a common problem. We see lots and lots and lots of people with thyroid problems. So folks pretty much know about thyroid already. They know that thyroid sets your metabolic rate, and that if it's low, you run slow, and if it's high, you run hot and fast. And that's actually true, but there's a lot more to say about it, and particularly to understand how to fix it. So let's start with the kind of the big picture on this one and just go over what we already know, which is your thyroid sets your metabolic rate. Mm-hmm. And how it works is your thyroid makes a hormone that triggers the mitochondria in your cells to burn calories and to do everything they need to do. You need a certain amount of heat in order for your body to work properly. We're designed to function at 98.6. And so the thyroid helps set that basic thermometer, if you will. So it's interesting, though, that you think everybody who's tired, the first thing they think of most of the time is the fact that my thyroid must be low. But the energy production in human beings is not just from your thyroid alone. It also depends on your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands will get you your get up and go. If something happens and you need to get it up, right? You need to work hard to do this thing. Your adrenal glands are responsible for that. Your thyroid gland gives you your basic bottom line energy. Day in, day out, night and day, you have a certain basic metabolic rate. That's regulated by your thyroid. So if your thyroid craps out, doesn't work right, then your basic metabolic rate goes down. Now, the thing that most doctors will do is they'll run tests and to see if your thyroid's working well. And they'll one test in particular, it's called a thyroid stimulating hormone. It's made by your pituitary. And if your thyroid isn't working very well, the pituitary can notice, and it says, hey, you need to go up. And so it makes more of this TSH. And it's super sensitive to it. So if you had one test to pick to see whether your thyroid's working or not, the TSH is the best test. But it doesn't always work right. It doesn't always correlate to actual reality. Let me just help you on this one. The reality of whether your thyroid's working or not is your temperature. Oh. Because that's where rubber hits the road. Mm-hmm. If your temperature's running low, your thyroid could be the cause. It's not the only thing that'll make your temperature go low or high. There's other things that'll influence it. But if you take your temperature 3 times a day for 3 days, that's a lot of temperatures, and you get a lot of touch points. Unless you're going through some kind of fever or you're living in a snow cave outside.
Right.
Right? Your temperature's going to reflect what your basic metabolic rate is.
Right.
Any one temperature is suspect. Lots of things will make your temperature go up and down. You drink hot tea and take your temperature, it's going to go up hot.
Sure, because you're ingesting hot liquid.
Yeah. Or you suck on a ice pop, whatever.
Right, ice cream or
whatever,
popsicle.
something like that. Yeah, popsicle. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Popsicle.
That'll get it to come down right. Really quick.
Yeah, like that. It'll come down. But if you take your temperature a lot, you can assess the function of your thyroid more accurately with temperature than you can with the blood tests. I want to say that again because I want to make sure everybody's clear on this one. You can follow the treatment of your thyroid better with a thermometer than you can with the blood tests. Most doctors don't know this. They trust the blood tests because they're blood tests, right? Yeah. That's what they're designed to do. Run them and read them. But reality is not the blood test. The blood test is just an indication of the hormones up or down, and that's helpful. It's useful to know. But reality is what your basic metabolic rate is, which is measured by temperature. Now, there's other ways to measure it. You can do an O2 uptake, and this is like done at the university. It's a specialized treatment. Who's got the access to that? Nobody. But if you do a temperature, it gives you a fairly accurate, rough way to be able to tell what your metabolism is. Okay, now let's talk about the hormones. The thyroid makes thyroid hormone, except for it's not just one thing. Thyroid hormone, really, there's two of them.
Oh.
There's one, it's called thyroxine. Thyroxine is known as T4 because it's got 4 iodines attached to it. Now, thyroxine is weak. It hardly does anything. It doesn't really speed your metabolism up. All it really is a source for the active hormone, the one that actually does the work. The one that actually does the work is T3. And that's triiodothyronine. That's a mouthful, so let's not call it that. We're going to call it T4 and T3. T4 and T3 is an easier way to say it that way. So T3 is where the action is. T3 is 30 times more active than T4 in terms of affecting your metabolism. Okay? So here's the thing. Where does T3 come from? Easy. What you do is you take T4 and you cut one of the iodines off. Seriously. There's an enzyme that does it.
Okay.
It goes snip. Cuts that iodine right off, and now you got T3. T3 has the right shape to fit into the slot on the side of the cell. It turns that little mechanism, and whoo, the cell turns on and starts cranking. The mitochondria start doing more work. The whole thing runs, and it warms up and starts humming, right? You get this action from it based on the effects of T3. If your body needs to speed up your metabolism for some reason, what it does is starts cutting more of the T4, which is plentiful. It's laying all around, right? Cut, makes a bunch more T3. So when you take a hormone to treat your thyroid, most of the time you're taking T4 because that lets your body choose when and where to do the T4 to T3 conversion. And it runs the whole system smoother. It's like that sustained release form that your body has to modify slightly to get it to work. So it's very clever and very great. It's a wonderful thing to do. Unless you're one of those people, unlucky people, that don't do the conversion of T4 to T3 very well.
So do they just have a buildup of T4?
Well, it's not so much a buildup of T4. What they get is the creation of a wrong-shaped T3.
Oh.
Now, remember I said there's 4 iodines.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why iodine is so important for thyroid function, because you need it to make this thyroxine, this T4, and T3 for that matter. And so it takes a lot. I mean, there's 4 of them per molecule, so you got to really have a lot of iodine. You're in short iodine, your body can't make the hormone. And so now you have hypothyroidism based on the fact you don't have enough iodine in your diet. Now, we don't hardly get that here in the United States. Iodine is common here in the United States, and it's not common for the reasons you think. Now, for when this was a problem, they invented a thing called iodized salt. Now, sea salt naturally has iodine in it because there's iodine in seawater.
Sure.
You dehydrate seawater, it makes sea salt, it's got the iodine in it, so there's no problem. But the salt from other places, especially salt that's been cleaned real well, the iodine is low in that salt. And so it needs to be added in. And once we iodize salt, basically this goiter problem, where the people's thyroid gland grew bigger in its attempt to make more hormone, ineffectually, by the way. There was a goiter belt, the place in the United States, in the interior of the United States, going through the Great Plains, that just was low of iodine, didn't have an iodine in the environment. And so people just naturally didn't have enough iodine to make the hormone, and they all got goiters. Now, that was solved, again, by adding iodine into the salt. But right now, where we get most of our iodine from is from dairy products. Now, iodine is not added to dairy products, but iodine is used to clean the pipes that milk runs through.
Oh.
And so they have to sterilize those pipes, and they use an iodine solution to sterilize them. Now, they wash the iodine out, but a little bit sticks to the pipes. And so milk and dairy products, cheese, butter, stuff like that, naturally has a fairly high amount of iodine in it. And that has absolutely cured people of iodine-deficient goiters here in the United States.
Wow.
Okay?
Interesting.
Now, here's the rub on this thing. Some people have a problem converting T4 into T3. And the reason for this is because if you have a problem converting T4 to T3, your metabolism goes down. You basically become hypothyroid. And people who are hypothyroid, they don't need as much food.
Yeah.
Their whole system runs slower.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, they're cold, they're tired, they're constipated, they're a little stupid. I'm sorry. Their brain just doesn't work very well. They're not super sharp, right? But they're alive.
Yeah.
So if anything was to happen where we ran out of food or there was some kind of horrible thing, of some war, the houses got burned down, something like that, and we were all like, the overwhelming stress, it's happened a lot of times in history. Over and over again it's happened, over and over again. And so what it does is it weeds out for these people, because when people with high metabolisms run out of food, they die.
Yeah.
People with slow metabolisms, they survive. I'll give you an example. There was that party that was back in the pioneer days, was going over the Sierra Mountains.
Yeah,
the Donner Party.
Yep.
The Donner Party. They got snowed in at the top of the mountain. They had 30 feet of snow that year.
And they started eating each other.
And they first of all, they ate all their food they could.
Yeah.
And then they ran out of food. Then they started eating their shoes and stuff like that. Kid you not. And then they got real hungry and started eating each other. Now, an interesting thing is not everybody ate somebody. Lots of people didn't eat anybody. A few did. Most people didn't. But of everybody who died, of the women, 2/3 of them survived. Of the men, 1/3 of them survived. And one of the reasons for this, they think, is because the women were able to run a slower metabolism and just basically make it through the lean time.
Yeah.
People who have this ability to slow their metabolism down survive. So if you look at populations worldwide, populations that have gone through a lot of starvation. So tropical people, none of them have this trait.
Sure.
Because there's food, there's bananas growing on the trees, right? People in Northern Europe or Northern Europe and above, they run out of food in the wintertime. These people have this in spades. So the two populations in the world that have the greatest tendency to run a slow metabolism under stress are Native Americans and Irish.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Irish, they went through a bunch of famines, including a big one back in the 1800s, the potato famine.
Right.
So those people have been gleaned out fairly recently. And the Native Americans, I mean, they were starving all the time. Nearly every year they were starving. It was a common thing, especially in the north. It's easy to run out of food in the north. You got a bad summer, that's it. I mean, you're living on a nothing, right?
Right.
You got a long winter to get through. I'm sorry, I don't want to worry our listeners who here we live in the north.
So would
that.
those demographics be more susceptible to thyroid issues?
They're more susceptible to running cold.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Let me give you the actual specific breakdown. You take T4, you cut off one of the iodines, and you make T3. T4 is the pre-hormone. T3 is the actual hormone. Now, all we have to do is cut the wrong iodine off. Instead of cutting this one off, I'm showing Haley with my fingers.
Playing with fingers.
Y'all got to imagine. I take my index finger, bend it down. That's the correct one. Now I took my pinky finger and bend it down. That's the wrong one.
It's a different shape.
It comes up the same on the test, though.
Oh.
You test T3, either one tests the same.
Huh.
So you get the
Tricky.
same. You get the same test. The test comes out normal. Normal test. Normal test. Except for now, people are cold. You take their temperature, and they're 96.2.
Yeah, that's freezing.
And you think, whoa, it's only 2 degrees. That's not that much. Oh, it is absolutely that much.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot believe, if you ever get your temperature up again, you cannot believe how much better you're going to feel. It'll change your life. It's huge, the difference, that 2-degree difference is huge. I've seen people as low as 3 degrees low. They have a hard time getting into the clinic because they're so
cold.
They're in a torpor. There's a coined a word for this. They hardly function at all. So these people, they're very distinctive. You could see them. They're dry. Their skin is dry. Their hair is dry. They're a little thick. It's funny. You'd think they get real skinny, but they don't. They're a little thick in the face. They're slow. They're slow to speak. They're slow to function. They literally are slow. And they also lose, here's a really interesting clue. They lose the outer third of their eyebrows. They just kind of, come off.
Like the arch of
No,
eyebrow?
the hair.
Oh.
The eyebrow. The eyebrow goes away. They'll keep the middle and the middle and the center of the eyebrow.
Yeah.
But the edge of the eyebrow literally falls off.
Yeah.
And it goes away. And you can literally see them. You can recognize these people in the waiting room when they show up with this. They have a very distinct look about them. And so what we do with those...
I've seen that before.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
know,
that
me
on
too. Or
relatives.
you've seen these
That's
people, what they look
amazing.
like.
Yeah.
And so what you do with these people is you have to figure out, are they the regular kind of hypothyroid people who are just short of hormone, period, or are they the special kind of hypothyroid people who have plenty of hormone, but they can't convert the T4 to the T3, the regular one?
Sure.
And they're treated differently. The people with regular thyroid problems, you give them T4 and they just do the conversion, they're fine. The people with the conversion problem, you can't give them T4. It doesn't work. You have to give them T3. They have to take T3. And T3 is processed very quickly and moves through the system. So unless you're using the sustained release form of T3, you have to take it 6 times a day. I kid you not.
Wow.
Normal thyroid you take once a day because your body you get a lump sum of it, and your body just takes what it needs out of it for that day. Next day you get another lump sum. But with the T3, you dump it into somebody's bloodstream and your body just uses it up because it's active. It's an active hormone. So again, the sustained release form trickles it in from the pill, and so you get a little bit, but you still have to take it twice a day.
Yeah.
The sustained release form you have to take twice a day. So the T3 you have to take twice a day. Now if you just take it regular T3, it's sold under the name of Cytomel, and you have to take Cytomel 6 times a day. So anyways, I don't want to get too technical because I'll get in the weeds. The show will become only for doctors. I don't want to do that. I want to keep this for everybody listening. Here's the thing, take-home message on this one, is that if you're running cold, you need to get worked up for thyroid. Chances are that's your problem.
Yeah.
If you're running cold, how do you know? You take your temperature. But if you take one temperature and look, I'm 95 or whatever, yeah, you just came out of the cold, right? Or
Sure.
you ate a popsicle or something like that. So you can't trust one temperature. One temperature is just a clue, but it's not proof. You got to take your temperature repeatedly. Let's say 3 times a day for 3 days. You get 9 temperatures altogether, and then you average them. You add them all together, divide by 9, and that'll give you your average temperature. Now you can tell what we have a problem. So let me give you the way to interpret this. 98.6 is normal. If you're a half a degree low, so this is your 98.1, you have no problem. I'm sorry, you're running a little cold, but it doesn't mean anything. We've treated people half a degree low, and you know what happens? 0. They do not get any better. Half a degree is good enough for government work. You're close enough. It doesn't make any difference. If you're running a degree low, you're 97.6, not 98.6, but 97.6.
I see a lot of 97.6, 97.5.
We do, a lot of them. This is common. This is, in fact, I'm beginning to get sidetracked on our whole show. This thing where our temperatures are going lower is epidemic. The normal temperature in the United States right now is not 98.6 anymore. It used to be, but it isn't. Right now, we're running about half to 3/4 of a degree low as a nation. You think, well, why?
Maybe that's the next radio show.
We could.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you right now why. We don't. First of all, we don't know exactly why, but the theory is we're always warm.
Oh.
We live in central heat. Our cars are heated.
Comfort, luxury, auto start.
Yeah, we're auto start, all that stuff. We never get a chance to get cold. And if we do get cold, we have space heaters, we have electric blankets, we have a zillion different ways to keep us warm so our body doesn't have to fight.
So our body isn't regulating itself.
It does not regulate because what it does is we're like water. We will go lower. It saves energy. Everything runs better. We just become like lizards. We just soak up our heat from the environment. And we just learn to live with less. As a nation, this is what's going on. Now, I'm fighting it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, me too. I'm out there skiing every
Yes,
weekend,
that's
staying
exactly
cold.
right. Yes, that's how you fight it. What
Yeah.
you do is you go outside.
Yeah.
And you do stuff. And your body has to work harder. It kicks on. Now, as long as your thyroid is capable of mounting a response, and most of us are, what will happen is your thyroid will make more hormone.
Okay.
It'll simply go up. It's like everything else. You push it, and you get a response. You push it down, it goes up. It just does. It's natural. This is called homeostasis.
Right.
We're designed this way. So we're designed to be cold occasionally. We're designed to go outside and do stuff and then have our body have to kick on to turn us warm. This is where the Wim Hof movement is coming from. Wim Hof is this Dutch guy who figured out that if he goes out and does a bunch of cold stuff, that he feels better and his body functions better. Yeah, he's rediscovered this because, every other generation discovers this.
Right.
And he's the one who's popularized it for our generation. It's been around forever. So anyways, what he's doing and what he's teaching people to do is to go out, walk around outside with not enough clothes on.
Yep.
I mean, not naked, but not enough clothes on. And as long as you keep moving, your body heats up. And then the way it heats up is your thyroid kicks on, and your brown fat kicks on. We all of us got this little part of us that's like a little heater.
Back patch.
Yeah, it sits at the top of our back. And we could stimulate that by being cold. Then we walk around, we do stuff, we exercise, we ski, whatever. You just got to make sure that you don't get over bundled. If you get too bundled, then you get hot and it doesn't work. You got to get actually cold. You got to get some cold touching your skin. You got to get some cold penetrating through your clothes. So your body has to go, whoa, I'm cold.
Let's heat it back up.
Yeah, and the way to do that is you got to exercise.
Yeah.
So it's not just sitting around in the cold alone, though that actually does help. But if you exercise, then you warm up and you feel better for it.
Right.
So the other, I have to be careful because I'm going to lose the thyroid show and go into this temperature show instead. Let me just touch upon one little thing here so we're clear on how to do this, is that this is dangerous. You do not want to just go willy-nilly, go running around outside in a T-shirt and shorts because you could die of hyperthermia. Okay, let's be clear about this.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
We're in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yeah. We live in Fairbanks, Alaska. And yet there's a line, there's too far, and then there's just the right amount. So what you do is you figure out how much you can do carefully. You baby step into it, figuring out how to go out and exercise with a little less clothes than you think. And you keep the clothes in a backpack with you or something to where you get access to it easy enough. Or you don't go further than 10 minutes away from your car so you can come back.
Yep.
Right? That's how you do it. You do it in a way that's safe. So the other thing about this is if you're going to go challenge yourself with cold, you want to win. If you come back freezing, shivering, and almost dying of hyperthermia, you lost. There's no benefit. There's no benefit. You're not getting any benefit out of that. There's just bad beginning, middle, and end. The whole thing's bad. But if you go out and you get cold, and then your body fights and it warms up, and you come back and you're warm, you've won.
Yeah.
You have to win. If you don't win, it's useless. You literally have to triumph over the cold. So how do you do that? You have to move. And you have to have enough clothes on that you don't die.
Okay,
Right.
Well, now that we have that piece, let's get back to the thyroid.
Okay, so we talked about low thyroid, and let's talk about causes of low thyroid. The number one cause of low thyroid, you have any idea? You want to make a guess?
Oh, I would say
No, you'll never guess.
eating right and exercising.
No. It turns out your immune system attacks your thyroid.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed.
That's what it is. It's called Hashimoto's.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I've
what Hashimoto's
seen
is.
that in the clinic.
Yeah, Hashimoto's. We see it all the time. Hashimoto's is when your body makes antibodies that attack your thyroid and damage it. Eventually, it damages your thyroid enough that it can't make enough hormone, and your hormone production goes down. Hashimoto's is funny because early stages of it often goes hyperthyroid because as the thyroid's being damaged, it leaks.
And it
And
overproduces.
then you're overproduced. You have too much hormone in your system, and you actually go hot.
So you run hot and sweat. And
Your heart races.
Yeah.
You get diarrhea.
Blood pressure is high.
No, not your blood pressure so much. Blood pressure doesn't usually show up with this one. What ends up showing up is diarrhea a lot of times.
Okay.
And just you generally want warm. You feel like you're stressed. Anxiety is another one that'll kick on.
Yeah, I've
with
heard
this one.
about the association.
It doesn't last that long. Usually it's a day or two. And then you go to hypothyroid and you'll go cold and slow and tired.
And depressed.
And depressed.
Okay.
That's right. And
so
depressed.
if somebody's struggling with anxiety or depression,
It could be that their thyroid's
could be
down.
thyroid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to get it checked. It's a common enough thing, and it's kind of satisfying when you find it because it's a pretty easy solution. What you do is you take thyroid, either T4 or T3, as the case may be, and you'll feel better for it. In fact, for regular doctors, that's just the treatment. I mean, who even cares if it's Hashimoto's or whatever? It's the treatment is you take thyroid hormone and you're better. Now, I care whether people are Hashimoto's because I know, you do too, because I've been working together, how to fix Hashimoto's. What we do is we fix our immune system. How we do that is we fix our digestive system. Now, again, we've talked about that at length in other shows. I want to go into the details of how to do that because then we just lost the show completely. So let me just
Refer
say.
back to episode 1.
Yeah, right. So what we want to do is we want to calm the immune system down by healing the digestive system, so there's less leakiness
Healing the inflammation.
going into the immune system, causing this immune reaction. Now, we got about 5 minutes, which is not going to do justice to hyperthyroidism. Let me just touch on it. There is this thing called hyperthyroidism where the body makes too much thyroid. Now, that can also be an autoimmune disease where the body makes antibodies that stimulate the thyroid. They don't kill it, but they stimulate it so it makes more hormone. And so people act like they have too much hormone in their body, because they do. And what they'll do is all the symptoms we talk about, and there's one we missed, which is the most famous symptom, but it doesn't often show up. And it's where your eyes bug out.
Oh,
you get, your eyes start protruding.
Yeah.
And the reason why they protrude is because the immune system that stimulates the antibodies that stimulate the thyroid to overproduce also, due to random chance, affect the fat pad behind your eye, and they thicken it up, which pushes your eyeballs out and makes them bug. It's called exophthalmos.
I've seen that.
It's very famous.
Yep.
But a minority of cases of hyperthyroidism have it. Most people with hyperthyroidism do not have exophthalmos.
With patients who have hyperthyroidism, are they like more energized?
Yes.
You mentioned anxiety, but
Yes.
do they also
Yes.
feel like an anxious ball?
They don't want to sleep.
Okay, yeah.
And the other thing is, I hate to bad talk them, and I don't really mean it. I just let me say the blunt thing, which is they don't have a lot of sense. There's
Impulsivity?
They're very impulsive, and their ability to make rational decisions is severely compromised.
Okay.
So one of the things about people with hyperthyroidism is they need friends and neighbors and family to help take care of them because they don't have enough sense to get it treated. Now, there's exceptions to that. People have mild cases, that kind of thing. But if somebody's into it hot and heavy, they're not. There's a repair mechanism that takes place in the brain that allows your brain to function normally and be rational. That shuts down.
Yeah.
And they get scattered.
Okay.
So if they ever come in to see me by themselves, I basically just say we just need to bring somebody in, or is there somebody I can call? Because otherwise I can't get them better because they can't. They'll nod and smile. They simulate a normal human being very well, and then they go out the door and they don't remember anything we ever talked about.
Yeah.
And they don't do none of the things I ever talked about, and you can't treat them. They just won't get treated. So you got to intervene. Now, the thing to do with people with hyperthyroidism is you need to shut the thyroid down because most of those people will revert back to normal. If you do nothing, they'll revert back to normal. Now, they'll revert back to normal within 2 or 3 years, but by then their life is wrecked.
Yeah.
And their health is wrecked. So you can't wait 2 or 3 years for them to go back to normal. So you have to take stuff that pushes their thyroid down and buys time. Either that, or you have to cut some of their thyroid off, which is a pretty standard treatment for this, or you have to poison it with radioactive iodine. That's another pretty standard treatment for it. The problem is the surgery and the iodine always overshoot, with rare exceptions, but they always overshoot. And what you end up having to do is you go low thyroid, and you have to take thyroid for the rest of your life. So I've done both things. I've referred people because it's a very satisfying solution. You go in and you get the surgery, and they cut part of your thyroid out, and then you go back to being a normal person. Thank you, Dr. Luper, right, for referring me to get this done. But a lot of times people really are afraid of surgery. They don't want surgery. They want to try to do something else. So you could medicate them. There's a number of medications that you can use and a number of herbs that you can use. We use a thing called Thyrocalm.
Yeah, we do.
And it works beautifully. It shuts people's thyroid down. Now, they have to keep taking it as long as their thyroid is hyper. But as soon as their thyroid recovers, again, most people do, then they don't have to take it anymore. They move into being normal again. Very satisfying. It's a great thing to be able to fix.
Wonderful. Dr. Luper, we're out of time yet again. Not enough time on these shows. I swear, you could go on forever.
Yeah, I like helping people. And if you understand how things work, it's not that hard to see where the entry points to be able to turn things around. If you just simply understand, and it's a lot of times people just don't spend enough time thinking about it, and you just kind of mull it over a little bit. Usually the solution will just pop up. I mean, as long as you understand what the thing is. So yeah, it's very satisfying. Let me say that. It's fabulous to be able to fix things. What a great job.
What a great job you have entered. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody listening out there.
Thanks, Hallie.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in touch.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sensible Health Solutions. We hope you found today's discussion enlightening and packed with practical tips to enhance your wellness journey. Remember, small changes can lead to big results. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content possible. Stay connected with us on social media for more health insights and updates. You can find us at Sensible Health Solutions across all social platforms. Until next time, stay sensible and stay healthy. This content is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Seek medical advice from a healthcare professional for any medical conditions.